Okay. I want to return to the topic of greater literacy in our politics. We all have downtime and we all pull out our phone and we look at the stuff that shows up on it. And you're going to run into, if your algorithm is like mine, you see a lot of stuff related to politics, a lot of stuff related to um, international relations, and occasionally you pop up, commentators, common, the commentariat, the commentatorial, the commentative, the commentating, the common, tater tot class. Um, you run into these people who look at a headline and just go off. And if they're saying shit that's total bullshit, if they're saying shit that's completely insane, that causes drama, that gets views, that gets people engaged, and that becomes a real part of our politics. I don't want to name names because I don't want to get roped into this stuff, but if you've been on the internet for, more than a second, you know who I'm talking about. And we see them because we don't all have time to sit around uh, and I don't know, like build our own media ecosystems and do our own thing or whatever, and have our own interesting, provocative, insane people who maybe say things that are a little less toxic for us. We don't have time to do all that. We have time to sit around, pull out the damn phone, see what crazy shit is going on in the world. That's what we do. Um, I wish, I wish things were not as bad as they are. Um, I just wish, I wish. I don't know what that world looks like. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you can do. I think what annoys me is the extent to which people are pretty internet poisoned. You're going to find people um, out in the world who are looking at media feeds kind of similar to your own, and all they know is the shit that they see online. And that's being abused and exploited by the commentators to sow some really shitty ideas into people's heads. There's a lot of combativeness, there's a lot of antagonism, there's a lot of lying. Um, and we're seeing the extent to which this is influencing people, in their daily lives. I mean, people being compelled to commit political violence or to hurt each other and things like that. Um, yeah, if I sound like a fence sitter or a moderate, bonehead or something, that's not my intention. I have political opinions of my own. I However, these opinions it compel me to be very skeptical of the crisis facing uh, people's relationship with social media. Um, it's hard. It's hard to even find anybody worth kind of sitting down and talking to. Um, Everything we do is kind of pointless. Um, if you're not in power, if you don't have power, you're um, kind of useless, right? Don't you feel useless? Like, do you ever stop and think, I can have a strong opinion about politics. It's not going to matter. I'm not connected. Even people who hold power putatively, like if you're a mayor or even a governor, you can go out and give an opinion that nobody agrees with, or well, maybe not nobody, that few people really agree with, or that's really going to leave a dent on the course of politics at this point. Uh, yeah, and then even if you're the most powerful guy, if you're Trump and you're the most powerful dude, so it seems, you also can't leave too much of a dent on people's minds because um, you're too divisive. and your narratives are rejected. Um, so I wanted to add a point, however. I don't think it's totally useless to come up with opinions when you are out of any power, or you're not, connected in the world. In some sense, okay, yeah, this is crucial. In some sense, you get space from the world. Some people who are deeply involved in, where shit's happening, they get major blind spots. They lose touch with what it's like outside of that world, and then they take on these institutionalized opinions that are kind of dubious if you're outside of that realm. In this populist era, that's kind of dangerous, and we're seeing this um, incoherence, this seeming, like you get institutions that say one thing, and then populations that act in a totally different manner. So it's like who's really on it? Who really has um, like a grounded perspective where they're seeing everything? That's few people. Cultural production that is extra institutional is important, and that stuff starts to influence institutions. So there are ways in which, like, even if you are out of power, you're not one of these insiders or something like that. Um, what you do can matter. Um, but to do that, you have to have you have to have a cultural incubator. You have to have some place where you ground your ideas, um, and, and come up with a vision to share with the world. Um, some of the thinking that I've been doing, I know I'm doing a lot of meta, speculating and like narrating my own thought processes, but I'm free to do this. I'm a free citizen. Um, so I've had this thought. I think that a degree of elitism in society is probably okay if it means um, decisions when they get made are deliberative, thoughtful, sophisticated, and smart. Okay, I think that's okay. I think that you can gauge when another person is doing something that is sophisticated or intelligent if it impresses you. So we need to have like impressive decision making from leaders. Now, at the same time, the basis for um, discerning between what is high quality and what is low quality um, shouldn't fall on conventional lines. It shouldn't be a class based thing. It shouldn't be a race based thing. Um, it shouldn't be a nation based thing. It should be as objective as it can be, which is to say, all things are really rarely ever objective. Um, but merit manifests in a particular way. Finding the secret sauce for surveying or identifying what is of high merit is hard to explicate. Yeah, what makes something valuable? How is it that if it's not, you have signaled a particular class belonging, or you are a racial brethren, or you are a national brethren. If those aren't the ways in which you can determine something is valuable, what can we say is really valuable? Which is not a rhetorical question, by the way. It's a real question. Um, I don't know. I know I have a sense for what I think is impressive, what I think is smart. If I go, wow, I never thought about something in that way, or like, this is truly, you are a really weird person, or you are really compelling. Um, yeah, that stuff is valuable, but there's no rubric. There's no. It's hard. It's very much intuitive. It's intuitively felt. Um, this will sound selfish, but I think a lot of people will agree with me in their own way. I trust my own gut and my own self more than I trust the public's. So when I think something has merit, I tend to trust myself more than Like, I don't feel a need to have a vote on what I feel is valuable. Um, you know, that to me seems like a totally normal thought. Like, obviously, that would be the case, of course. You know, in this society, you almost feel like you have to explain yourself or justify that thought. Um, what are we doing, guys? So, you can't even trust the public or the market to find the valuable people and to launch them onto your phone for them to infect your brain. You cannot trust the public to figure that out. Um, you have to go looking. Um, but anyway, supposing interesting and compelling people found a community, um, what would they do? Would they even like each other? Would they even want to spend time with one another? Would they even have fun with each other and enjoy each other's company? Would they feel as though their lives were purposeless? Um, would they feel as though their time together was trivial and fleeting and frivolous? Um, if they're not doing something that matters, what matters in society? What matters in one's life? What can you do that always makes you feel fulfilled? One thing is influencing events in the world. That makes seems to matter. What good is your influence in the world if it isn't good? Well, how do you determine that it's good? How do you arrange yourself in such a way that you can ensure if you do anything in the world, it's actually going to be of any use to people? Um, I would like this sounds so lame. I genuinely would just like this to be a more literate society where, if you bring up an idea, somebody has something interesting to say about it, they can absorb the idea, and be a good compliment, um, make good company or something. Finding these people is very fucking hard. And I also find like there's probably a dearth of people who are both intelligent and happy. Um, how can you be happy in our society that is so crude and culturally backwards and so vain, um, where people don't care about each other, um, you know, because they can't relate to each other. I don't care how rambling this video is. This is going to be, um, making. This is for me. This is not for you. This is for me. I feel like if I ran into people who had the same cultural taste as me, I wouldn't really want to talk to them because they're. I don't know why. I don't know why I wouldn't. Why would I not want to? I wouldn't trust them. I think I wouldn't trust them to be a good friend. Like most people who are um, too smart tend to be bad. They tend to be bad people usually. They're just not these days, especially if you're not grounded in some way, which is different from being smart. Um, it's not a good idea to hang out with you, and then you also are probably if you're trendy or something, if you're socially adapted to whatever is cool, um, you're probably still shallow in some regard. Um, yeah.